25 black celebrities we can't recognize today, then, and now, 2026. Ever wondered if the person you're cheering for on screen is even the same person you fell in love with years ago? The glitz and glamour of Hollywood often hide a darker, more complex reality of surgical obsession and silent health battles. Tonight, we are peeling back the curtain on the most startling physical transformations in the industry. From legendary icons to current chart toppers, these stars have undergone changes so extreme they are practically unrecognizable. Are these choices driven by personal trauma, or is the pressure of the spotlight simply too much to bear? Prepare to witness the familiar faces of your idols being rewritten right before your eyes. Don't miss a single reveal. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications for Black Celebrity Secrets to uncover the truth behind the fame. Michael Jackson. The King of Pop remains the most stark example of a physical metamorphosis that left the world in a state of perpetual shock. Michael Jackson's journey from the radiant, chocolate-skinned lead singer of the Jackson 5 to the porcelain-complexioned figure of the 2000s is often misunderstood as a choice, but the reality was a complex battle of biology. By the mid-1980s, Michael was diagnosed with vitiligo, a rare skin condition that destroys pigment-producing cells. While tabloids cruelly accused him of wanting to be white, the truth was far more clinical. He used potent bleaching creams to even out the spreading white patches, eventually resulting in his depigmented appearance. This was further complicated by a diagnosis of lupus, which added to his physical fragility and sensitivity to sunlight. Parallel to his changing skin, Michael's facial architecture underwent a radical restructuring. Following a traumatic injury during the 1979 off-the-wall rehearsals where he broke his nose, he underwent his first rhinoplasty. However, the 1984 Pepsi commercial disaster, where a pyrotechnic explosion left him with second- and third-degree scalp burns, became a tragic catalyst. The recovery required multiple reconstructive surgeries that ignited a lifelong obsession with aesthetic refinement. Surgeons estimate he underwent nearly 10 procedures, including multiple nose jobs, a chin cleft insertion, and eyelid lifts. By the time of his final "This Is It" rehearsals in 2009, his features were a sharp, hollowed departure from the Thriller era. He became a man wearing a mask of his former self, a then and now contrast so extreme it eclipsed the very music that made him a legend. Michael didn't just change his look, he became a living canvas of the pressures of perfection and the scars of a life lived under a microscope. Jada Pinkett Smith. Jada Pinkett Smith's transformation is a profound narrative of reclaiming power over a loss of identity. For decades, Jada was the epitome of Hollywood glamour, celebrated for her petite, athletic frame and her ever-evolving, thick hairstyles that signaled her status as a fashion icon. However, in 2018, the actress began noticing terrifying clumps of hair falling out in the shower. This marked the onset of alopecia areata, an autoimmune disorder where the immune system attacks hair follicles. For an actress whose femininity was inextricably linked to her crown, the diagnosis was a psychological blow that forced her to hide behind elaborate turbans and head wraps for nearly 3 years. The now moment that shook the industry occurred in 2021. Inspired by her daughter Willow, Jada discarded the facade, shaving her head entirely to reveal a bare, resolute scalp. This wasn't merely a haircut. It was a defiant stance against the beauty standards that demand black women maintain a specific aesthetic to be considered graceful. The shift was so dramatic that it became the unintended flashpoint of the 2022 Oscars, a moment that proved her appearance was more than just a style choice, and it was a symbol of her resilience. Statistics show that roughly 1/3 of black women experience some form of hair loss. Yet Jada became the face of a movement to normalize the condition. Today, her look is defined by sharp, high-fashion makeup and a focus on her facial symmetry, showcasing a new Jada who is arguably more powerful and authentic than the version we knew in the 90s. She transformed a medical vulnerability into a global conversation on self-acceptance, proving that even when a celebrity becomes unrecognizable by choice or circumstance, their spirit can remain unshakable. Sammy Sosa. In the late 1990s, Sammy Sosa was a titan of Major League Baseball, a Dominican powerhouse whose dark skin, exuberant Sosa hop, and hulking physique made him a global ambassador for the sport. During the historic 1998 home run race, he was a symbol of Latino pride, finishing his career with 609 home runs. However, following his retirement in 2007, the man who reappeared in the public eye looked like a ghost of the athlete the world once idolized. The transformation was so profound that it became a viral sensation before the term was even fully realized. The once ebony-skinned outfielder now possessed a complexion that was startlingly pale, often described as a pinkish white. Unlike many who hide behind medical excuses, Sosa addressed the controversy with startling candor during a 2009 interview on Univision. He revealed that his new look was the result of a bleaching cream he used before bed, claiming it was intended to soften his skin, but had the unintended side effect of drastic lightening. Critics and sociologists have pointed to this as a heartbreaking example of internalized colorism. But Sosa has remained unfazed, often appearing in public with even lighter skin, colored contact lenses, and slicked-back hair that stands in total opposition to his then image. Medical experts suggest that long-term use of such creams, especially those containing hydroquinone or mercury, can lead to permanent thinning of the dermis and a loss of natural elasticity. Today, at 57, Sosa is virtually unrecognizable from the man who stood on the dirt of Wrigley Field. He represents a controversial chapter in the then and now archives, a transformation that wasn't dictated by age or injury, but by a deliberate and, many say, tragic pursuit of a different identity. Lil' Kim. If the 1990s had a definitive face of female rap ferocity, it was the Queen Bee. Lil' Kim was a petite powerhouse with a signature look, cocoa skin, heavy-lidded eyes, and an unapologetically bold fashion sense that redefined the female aesthetic in hip-hop. But behind the platinum records like Hardcore, Kim was battling a crushing sense of inadequacy. Her physical evolution is perhaps one of the most complex in Hollywood history, moving from a natural Brooklyn beauty to a highly stylized, almost doll-like figure. The catalyst was a series of traumatic events, including a fractured nose sustained during an abusive relationship, which led to her first reconstructive surgeries. By the mid-2000s, Kim's appearance had reached a tipping point that left fans stunned. Her nose had been narrowed to a fraction of its original size. Her cheekbones were aggressively elevated with fillers, and most noticeably, her skin tone appeared significantly lighter. In a candid interview, she once admitted, "Guys always cheated on me with women who were European-looking. You know, the long-haired type. Really beautiful women that left me thinking, how can I compete with that?" This psychological scar drove a transformation that involves an estimated $150,000 to $200,000 in aesthetic procedures. Today, her now image is a testament to the surgical shield she built around herself. Her jawline is razor sharp, her eyes have been lifted into a permanent, foxy gaze, and her facial expressions are often restricted by the sheer volume of interventions. While she remains a legend in the music industry, her physical journey serves as a somber reminder of how the toxic intersection of fame, domestic trauma, and unrealistic beauty standards can rewrite a person's heritage right before our eyes. She is no longer just a rapper. She is a symbol of the high cost of trying to survive in a world that didn't value her original self. Chadwick Boseman. The transformation of Chadwick Boseman is perhaps the most poignant and somber chapter in recent Hollywood history. For the world, He was the embodiment of the Black Panther, a man of regal stature, possessing a robust, muscular physique that radiated vitality and Wakandan strength. His then image was that of a peak-condition athlete, a cultural icon who stood as a symbol of health and resilience. However, starting around 2018, the public began to notice a jarring shift. In paparazzi photos and social media clips, the once sturdy King T'Challa appeared to be vanishing. His cheeks became hollow, his neck grew slender, and his clothes seemed to hang loosely on a frame that had lost a significant amount of its former mass. What the world didn't know, and what makes this now contrast so devastating, was that Boseman was fighting a silent, 4-year battle with stage 3 colon cancer, which eventually progressed to stage 4. While the internet cruelly speculated about drug use or method acting for a new role, Chadwick was undergoing countless surgeries and rounds of chemotherapy, often between filming major blockbusters. Medical reports later suggested he may have lost upwards of 30 to 40 pounds during his final months. By his last public appearance, his eyes carried a heavy, weary wisdom that no script could explain. His transformation was not one of vanity or choice, but the visible manifestation of a soul pushing a failing body to its absolute limits to finish his artistic legacy. When he passed in August 2020, the shock was universal. His now image was the face of a man who had sacrificed his own physical form to ensure a generation had a hero to look up to. He didn't just change, he withered in the service of his craft, making his physical decline one of the most heroic, yet heartbreaking transformations ever recorded. Missy Elliott. Missy Misdemeanor Elliott has always been a futurist, but her physical journey from the early 2000s to today is a masterclass in resilience and health-focused reinvention. In her then era, Missy was known for her baggy, avant-garde trash bag suits and a fuller figure that she wore with immense confidence, breaking the mold for what a female superstar was supposed to look like. She was high energy, unstoppable, and seemingly invincible. But in 2008, the music stopped. Missy vanished from the spotlight as her body began to betray her. She started experiencing severe tremors, dizzy spells, and a sudden, uncontrollable weight loss that left her looking fragile and exhausted. The culprit was Graves' disease, an autoimmune disorder that causes the thyroid to overproduce hormones, leading to rapid heart rates and metabolic chaos. At her lowest point, the disease affected her motor skills so severely that she couldn't even hold a pen to write songs. Fans were stunned by the now image that eventually emerged. A significantly slimmer Missy with sharper facial features and a more subdued energy. Through a rigorous regimen of medication, diet, and radiation therapy, she managed to stabilize her health, eventually losing over 70 pounds. Unlike many Hollywood transformations driven by the scalpel, Missy's change was a byproduct of survival. Today, at 54, her appearance is more refined and athletic than during her super-duper fly days. Her skin remains radiant, but the unrecognizable element comes from the maturity and strength in her gaze. She transitioned from a colorful, larger-than-life caricature to a sleek, health-conscious icon. Her story is a rare then and now success, a transformation where the artist didn't lose herself to fame, but fought a biological war to reclaim her throne. Al Roker. For decades, Al Roker was the jolly giant of morning television, a beloved fixture on the Today Show whose infectious energy was matched by a larger-than-life physical presence. At his heaviest, the iconic weatherman tipped the scales at over 340 pounds, 154 kilograms, wearing a size 54 jean. While his then image was synonymous with warmth and comfort, the reality behind the scenes was a dire health crisis. Facing a cycle of failed diets and a stern warning from physicians that his lifespan was being cut short by obesity-related risks, Al made a decision that would redefine his life. In 2002, he underwent gastric bypass surgery, a procedure that fundamentally altered his digestive system and catalyzed one of the most dramatic now reveals in broadcast history. The transformation was near instantaneous and jarring for viewers. Within just 8 months, Al shed 100 pounds, eventually reaching a total loss of over 150 pounds. The now version of Roker featured sunken cheeks, a sharply defined jawline, and a leaner, almost unrecognizable physique that left fans concerned for his health. However, Al's journey proved to be about sustainability. Over the next 24 years, he navigated the rebound weight gain common after surgery, doubling down on a rigorous walking regimen, clocking over 10,000 steps daily, and a high-protein diet. Even in 2026, at 71, he remains a testament to the long game, recently surviving a harrowing battle with blood clots and internal bleeding that required multiple surgeries. His transformation wasn't a magic bullet fix. It was a grueling, decades-long reconstruction of his lifestyle. Al Roker didn't just lose weight, he traded the jolly caricature for a lean, battle-hardened resilience, proving that while the face may change, the spirit behind the weather map only grows stronger with age. Nicki Minaj. Nicki Minaj's physical evolution is a masterclass in the intersection of branding, body autonomy, and the relentless pressure of the rap industry's fishbowl. In her then era, the mixtape days of the late 2000s, Nicki was a slender, street-smart lyricist from Queens with natural features and a raw, unpolished beauty. However, as she ascended to become the queen of rap, her image underwent a high-octane metamorphosis. To match her larger-than-life Barbie persona, Nicki's silhouette became exaggerated into a hyper-feminine hourglass figure that defined the aesthetic of a decade. Her jawline grew more refined, her nose narrower, and her signature curves became the subject of intense global speculation, often cited by surgeons as a result of a Brazilian butt lift, BBL, and breast augmentation. The most fascinating part of her now story, however, is her recent pivot toward a more natural authenticity. By 2023, Nicki entered a new chapter, candidly revealing on the Vogue podcast that she had undergone breast reduction surgery and felt a profound sense of regret regarding her past surgical choices. "I guarantee you're going to look back one day and say, 'I was fine just the way I was.' That's what happened to me," she admitted. This psychological shift has translated into a now look that is sleeker and more reminiscent of her regular old self. Today, at 43, her transformation is as much about the mind as it is the body. She has moved away from the neon wigs and exaggerated doll-like sheen, embracing a sophisticated, high-fashion aesthetic that prioritizes confidence over correction. Statistics show her influence on beauty trends was so immense that she arguably birthed the Instagram baddie look, only to eventually lead the charge in dismantling it. Her journey is a rare look at a star who meticulously built a fantasy, lived within it, and eventually had the courage to deconstruct it in search of her true self. Tracy Morgan. In the annals of Hollywood survival stories, Tracy Morgan's transformation stands as a literal reconstruction of a human being. In his then era, the peak of 30 Rock and Saturday Night Live, Tracy was the embodiment of chaotic comedic energy, possessing a wide, gap-toothed smile and a vibrant, expressive face that was his primary tool for humor. However, in the early hours of June 7, 2014, his world was obliterated when a Walmart truck slammed into his limousine. The crash killed his close friend, James McNair, and left Tracy with a shattered body, including a traumatic brain injury and a face so severely damaged it required surgeons to rebuild it piece by piece using titanium plates and screws. The now version of Tracy Morgan is a man who carries the weight of that impact in every expression. When he finally returned to the stage at the 2015 Emmys, fans were stunned by the change. His once animated features had taken on a new, more rigid solemnity, and his speech, once a rapid-fire boom, was slower and more deliberate. Medical experts noted that the nerve damage and facial reconstruction had subtly altered his mouth's symmetry, giving him a hardened appearance that contrasted sharply with his previous jolly persona. However, by 2026, Tracy has undergone a secondary transformation, one of extreme fitness. At 57, he has become a gym devotee, walking 2.5 miles daily and working with trainers to maintain a peak condition that surpasses his pre-accident health. He has traded the wild man aesthetic for a sleek, muscular, and battle-hardened look. His transformation is a rare example where unrecognizable doesn't mean worse. It means a man who was forged in fire and came out stronger, with a face that tells a story of survival more powerful than any joke he's ever told. Lark Voorhees. The journey of Lark Voorhees is perhaps the most heartbreaking then and now narrative of the 90s generation. As Lisa Turtle on Saved by the Bell, Lark was the Bayside High fashionista, a natural beauty with radiant cocoa skin, a sparkling smile, and a charismatic presence that made her the quintessential teenage crush. She was the picture of 90s grace and professional potential. But as the 2010s arrived, the world was shaken by a series of now appearances that left fans utterly bewildered. During a viral 2012 interview on The Yo Show, the woman on screen was unrecognizable. Her skin appeared oddly pale and masked by heavy, haphazardly applied makeup. Her features looked tightened, and her speech was erratic and disjointed. Behind the jarring physical change lay a tragic internal struggle. Her mother, Trisha, eventually revealed that Lark was battling schizoaffective disorder, a complex condition combining symptoms of schizophrenia and mood disorders. The unrecognizable element was a byproduct of both the mental health crisis and, as many speculated, a series of ill-advised aesthetic procedures used as a shield during her most turbulent years. For a decade, Lark became a tabloid fixture, her changing face a symbol of Hollywood's lost stars. However, in a stunning turn of events by early 2026, a new now has emerged. At 52, Lark has reappeared on social media looking more like her natural self than she has in 20 years. She has moved away from the heavy, distorting makeup and embraced a softer, more authentic look, showing significant recovery in her mental clarity. While the scars of her decade-long disappearance remain in the sharpness of her features, her current transformation is one of healing. She has transitioned from a haunting tabloid mystery back into a thriving woman, proving that even after a person becomes unrecognizable, the core of who they were can still be reclaimed through resilience and proper care. 50 Cent. In the early 2000s, Curtis 50 Cent Jackson was the apex predator of the rap game, a hulking 250-pound wall of muscle with a trademark sneer and a voice made heavy by the trauma of 9 bullets. His then image was defined by a massive chest, boulder-like shoulders, and a thick jawline that seemed built for war. However, as we move into 2026, the man formerly known as the Hulk of hip-hop has undergone a transformation that is nothing short of a biological reset. In late 2023 and throughout 2024, fans were left stunned by a version of 50 Cent that was suddenly svelte, leaner, and almost unrecognizable in his facial structure. He successfully shed over 43 pounds, dropping from a bulky 253 pounds to a streamlined 210 pounds for his final lap world tour. The internet, quick to speculate, immediately labeled this change as the result of Ozempic, but 50 Cent fired back with a ferocity reminiscent of his mixtape days. "Who says Ozempic? I was in the gym, I was working the F out," he stated in a viral clip. His now look is a masterclass in aging with precision. His face has lost the puffy weight of his mogul years, revealing sharp, hollowed cheeks and a more defined, symmetrical smile, the result of a widely reported $63,000 dental overhaul that closed his signature gap and refined his jaw's alignment. By early 2026, he has transitioned from a street soldier into a sleek corporate tycoon with a physique that rivals men half his age. While his transformation involves a significant shift in mass, the unrecognizable factor lies in his eyes. The predatory hunger of the get-rich-or-die-tryin' era has been replaced by the calculating, sharp gaze of a television and liquor magnate. He didn't just lose weight, he refined his entire human architecture to sustain a legacy that shows no signs of slowing down at 50. Wendy Williams. The journey of Wendy Williams is a haunting odyssey of a woman literally being reshaped by a storm of medical and personal crises. In her then era, Wendy was the undisputed queen of daytime, a larger-than-life presence with statuesque features, voluminous hair, and a razor-sharp wit. She was the picture of unshakable confidence. However, by 2021, the cracks in the facade became a canyon. Wendy's physical transformation was catalyzed by the brutal intersection of Graves' disease and lymphedema, a condition that caused her feet to swell to nearly double their size, making her iconic high heels impossible to wear and leaving her dependent on wheelchairs and assistants to walk. The now that emerged in the 2024 Lifetime documentary left the world in a state of collective heartbreak. The vibrant woman we knew had vanished, replaced by a frail, disheveled figure who often appeared confused and unsteady. In early 2024, her team revealed a devastating diagnosis of primary progressive aphasia and frontotemporal dementia, FTD, the same condition affecting Bruce Willis. This unrecognizable shift wasn't just skin deep, it was neurological. However, by late 2025 and early 2026, the story took a stunning turn. A new medical evaluation reportedly challenged the dementia diagnosis, with those close to her citing a remarkable neurological resilience since her focus shifted toward sobriety and intensive care. In late 2025, she made a surprise appearance at New York Fashion Week looking remarkably refreshed, stating, "I feel like $1 zillion." While her now image still bears the sharp facial angles and wide-eyed intensity characteristic of her thyroid struggles, the 61-year-old Wendy of today represents a battle for survival against a court-ordered guardianship and a failing body. She has moved from being a vibrant caricature of celebrity gossip to a somber symbol of the fragility of fame, proving that the most shocking transformations are often the ones fought in the shadows of the spotlight. Vybz Kartel. The story of Adidja Vybz Kartel Palmer is perhaps the most controversial then and now case in the history of Caribbean music. In the early 2000s, Kartel was the world boss of Jamaican dancehall, a man with deep, ebony skin and a rugged, streetwise aesthetic that resonated throughout the ghettos of Kingston. He was a symbol of raw, natural energy. However, by 2010, the man who stepped onto the stage was virtually unrecognizable. His skin had undergone a radical chemical metamorphosis, shifting from dark chocolate to a startlingly pale, almost chalky white. Kartel was candid about his transformation, admitting to the use of skin-lightening soaps and creams, famously comparing the process to black people who straighten their hair or get nose jobs. The now chapter of Kartel's story took an even more dramatic turn in 2024. After serving 13 years in prison, his release on July 31, 2024, revealed a man whose transformation had been further altered by a severe health crisis. Kartel emerged from custody struggling with Graves' disease and a heart condition, resulting in a face that was noticeably swollen, a condition known as moon face, and eyes that appeared prominently bulging due to thyroid eye disease. By early 2026, at the age of 50, Cartel has embarked on a health-first transformation, undergoing intensive medical treatment to stabilize his thyroid and heart. His current look is a haunting mosaic of his life's journey, the faded remnants of his chemically lightened skin, the swelling of his medical battles, and a leaner physique as he returns to the stage. He is no longer just a musician. He is a living record of a man who tried to rewrite his heritage and was subsequently reshaped by a decade of confinement and disease. Gabourey Sidibe. Gabourey Sidibe burst onto the scene in 2009 with her Oscar-nominated performance in Precious, becoming an instant icon of body positivity and confidence. At the time, her then image was defined by her morbid obesity, a frame that she carried with a defiant, joyous spirit that challenged Hollywood's narrow beauty standards. She was the face of a movement that celebrated being fat and fabulous. However, in 2016, following a diagnosis of type 2 diabetes, Gabourey made a life-altering decision to prioritize her survival over her brand of size. She underwent laparoscopic bariatric surgery, a procedure that catalyzed a stunning physical evolution. Over the next few years, the world watched as Gabourey literally halved in size. By early 2026, the 43-year-old actress has shed an estimated 150 pounds, revealing a now image that is unrecognizable to those who only remember her from the red carpet of 2010. Her face, once characterized by soft, rounded features, now boasts sharp, high cheekbones and a defined jawline. In 2024, she added a new chapter to her transformation, welcoming twins with her husband Brandon Frankel, a milestone she attributes to her improved health and mobility. Unlike many who feel pressured by Hollywood to stay thin, Gabourey's journey has been one of empowerment and medical necessity. She has successfully navigated the psychological shift from being a plus-size icon to a healthy, active mother and actress. Today, her look is sophisticated, athletic, and vibrant. She didn't just lose weight, she shed a version of herself that was physically limited, proving that a true transformation isn't about fitting into a mold, but about carving out a future where you can actually breathe. Kanye West. The physical evolution of Ye, formerly known as Kanye West, is a story of literal reconstruction and the profound psychological weight of fame. In the early 2000s, then Kanye was an aspiring producer with a youthful, rounded face and an unmistakable gap-toothed grin. However, in October 2002, the trajectory of his life and his face changed forever. Falling asleep at the wheel after a late studio session, Kanye's car slammed into oncoming traffic, shattering his jaw into several pieces. The resulting emergency surgery required metal plates and bone grafts to hold his facial structure together, with his jaw wired shut for weeks. This trauma birthed his debut hit Through the Wire, but it also permanently altered his now appearance. If you look closely at Kanye today, his jawline is subtly asymmetrical, and his mouth has a distinct, slightly crooked set that didn't exist before 2002. However, the transformation didn't stop with a car crash. By the 2020s, Kanye's now image took a turn toward the avant-garde and the clinical. In a 2018 interview, he admitted to undergoing liposuction because he didn't want the world to call him fat like they did Rob Kardashian. Moving into 2024 and 2026, he stunned the world again by reportedly replacing his entire natural teeth with a $850,000 titanium dental prosthetic, a permanent metallic grill modeled after the Bond villain Jaws. At 48, his face is a mosaic of survival and eccentricity. His once expressive features are often hidden behind masks or fixed in a metallic, permanent now that feels worlds away from the college dropout who once just wanted to be heard. He has moved from being a relatable producer to a hyper-stylized, metallic-jawed enigma, proving that for some, a transformation is never truly finished. Toni Braxton. Toni Braxton has long been considered one of the most beautiful women in music, but her then and now journey is a somber testament to the toll of chronic illness. In the 1990s, the Unbreak My Heart singer was the image of statuesque perfection, with a deep, sultry voice matched by a flawless, radiant complexion. But in 2008, the world watched as she collapsed mid-performance in Las Vegas, leading to a diagnosis of systemic lupus erythematosus, SLE. This autoimmune disease doesn't just attack the organs, it relentlessly reshapes the body's exterior. The now version of Toni has spent nearly 2 decades navigating the lupus fog and the physical fallout of the disease. The transformation was fueled by the heavy steroids and medications required to keep her kidneys from failing. These treatments often caused moon face, swelling, and skin sensitivity, leading Toni to seek subtle aesthetic restorations. By 2015 and into 2024, fans noticed her features becoming sharper, a result of a reported nose lift and fillers used to combat the hollowing effects of fatigue and age-related volume loss. However, her most recent now is perhaps her most courageous. At 58, after undergoing emergency heart surgery in 2023 to place a stent in her coronary artery, Toni has embraced a more stripped-back aesthetic. Her current look is more refined, sometimes surreal, and undeniably thinner. She has traded the heavy, glamorous masks of the 90s for a look that reflects a warrior who has survived multiple near-death experiences. While she may appear unrecognizable to those expecting the 25-year-old version of herself, her transformation is a victory of medicine and willpower. She remains a symbol of resilience, showing that even when a disease tries to dim your light, you can still command the spotlight. Anthony Anderson. For most of his career, Anthony Anderson was the quintessential big man of Hollywood comedy. In his then era, during films like Kangaroo Jack and the early seasons of Law & Order, Anthony carried a heavy, jovial frame that tipped the scales at over 270 pounds. His round face, deep dimples, and teddy bear physique were central to his on-screen charm. However, a stark wake-up call came with a diagnosis of type 2 diabetes. Realizing that his weight was no longer just a punchline but a death sentence, Anthony embarked on a transformation that would eventually leave him looking like a different person altogether. The now version of Anthony Anderson is a masterclass in discipline. By early 2026, he has successfully maintained a loss of nearly 50 pounds, a journey he accelerated through a plant-based diet and a commitment to no excuses fitness. The results are striking. His formerly full, circular face has been replaced by sharp, angular cheekbones and a significantly more defined jawline. Even his eyes appear wider and more alert, devoid of the inflammation that often accompanies metabolic stress. Critics of his now look sometimes claim he looks older due to the loss of facial volume. But Anthony remains unbothered, often joking that he traded his fat funny for fit and focused. At 55, his transformation is a rare Hollywood success story where the change was driven entirely by internal health. He has transitioned from the lovable sidekick to a sleek, sophisticated leading man, proving that the most profound way to become unrecognizable is to shed the weight that was holding your true self back. Vivica A. Fox. Vivica A. Fox was the undisputed it girl of the late 90s, possessing a natural high-fashion beauty that stole scenes in Independence Day and set it off. Her then image was defined by a soft, symmetrical face and a radiant, youthful glow that required very little enhancement. However, as she transitioned into her 40s and 50s, Vivica became one of the most vocal and visible examples of the surgical maintenance culture in Hollywood. Her physical evolution has been so constant that her now image in 2026 is often the subject of intense debate among fans and cosmetic experts alike. The transformation began subtly with a rhinoplasty and progressed into a more aggressive use of fillers, Botox, and multiple facelifts. By the 2020s, the soft features that defined her early career had been replaced by a sculpted look. Her cheekbones are now prominently elevated, her skin possesses a tight, doll-like sheen, and her jawline is razor-sharp. While she has faced online criticism for going too far, Vivica has always owned her choices with trademark sass, famously stating, "I'm not going to let myself go." At 61, her now is a hyper-glamorous, almost surreal version of her former self. She has traded the natural warmth of the 90s for a look that reflects the relentless pressure on Black actresses to remain ageless in a competitive industry. Whether you prefer the then or the now, there is no denying that she has successfully frozen time, even if the face she presents to the world today is more of a masterpiece of modern aesthetics than the girl next door we first fell in love with. T-Boz, TLC. Tyon T-Boz Watkins was the cool, raspy-voiced anchor of the best-selling female group of all time, TLC. In the 1990s, her then image was defined by her edgy, asymmetrical hairstyles and a vibrant, tomboyish energy that masked a harrowing internal reality. T-Boz was born with sickle cell anemia, a debilitating genetic blood disorder that causes excruciating pain and organ damage. For decades, while she danced through music videos like No Scrubs, her body was silently breaking down. The unrecognizable shift in her appearance often coincided with her many crisis periods, where the disease and the treatments, specifically high-dose steroids, would cause her face to swell, her skin to pale, and her hair to thin. By the mid-2000s, T-Boz faced an even greater challenge, a brain tumor, acoustic neuroma, that further threatened her life and facial symmetry. The surgery to remove the tumor left her with a now image that bore the scars of survival. Her face underwent a permanent shift in volume, and she often dealt with balance issues that altered her once powerful stage presence. Moving into 2024 and early 2026, at 56, T-Boz has emerged as a symbol of medical defiance. Her transformation isn't about the pursuit of youth, but the pursuit of breath. Her current look is more refined and mature, characterized by a leaner frame as she manages her health with a strict diet and holistic treatments. She has traded the cartoon cool aesthetic of the 90s for the dignified, slightly worn face of a warrior. To see T-Boz today is to see a woman who has been reshaped by the very blood that flows through her veins, proving that the most shocking transformations are often the ones where the person is simply grateful to still be standing. Jennifer Hudson. Jennifer Hudson's physical journey is arguably the most famous weight loss narrative in modern pop culture. When she first appeared on American Idol in 2004 and later won an Oscar for Dreamgirls, her then image was that of a powerhouse diva with a full, voluptuous figure that matched her booming voice. She was celebrated as a champion for plus-size women in an industry that often ignored them. However, following a series of unimaginable personal tragedies in 2008, Jennifer embarked on a total lifestyle overhaul that would see her lose a staggering 80 pounds, 36 kilograms, dropping from a size 16 to a size 6. The now version of Jennifer Hudson, which debuted via her partnership with Weight Watchers, was so dramatic it became a cultural phenomenon. Her once round face was replaced by a narrow, high-fashion bone structure, and her physique became lithe and athletic. But unlike many who experience a yo-yo effect, Jennifer has maintained this transformation for over 15 years. By early 2026, at 44, she has transitioned into the EGOT era of her career with a look that is sophisticated, sleek, and undeniably Hollywood royalty. Her face now features sharp, sculpted cheekbones and a radiant glow that she attributes to a disciplined, portion-controlled diet and a total abandonment of fried foods. The unrecognizable factor isn't just the weight, it's the shift in her aura from a soulful underdog to a polished, high-glamour mogul. She didn't just change her dress size, she rewrote her physical destiny, proving that you can honor your roots while completely reinventing the vessel you carry them in. NeNe Leakes. NeNe Leakes didn't just walk onto the set of The Real Housewives of Atlanta, she stomped into the zeitgeist as a force of nature. In her then era, circa 2008, NeNe possessed a soft, approachable, natural beauty, characterized by a wider nose, a full face, and a look that felt like the favorite auntie of the neighborhood. However, as her fame skyrocketed, NeNe became a pioneer in the Real Housewives tradition of cosmetic evolution. She is one of the few stars to be brutally honest about her journey, admitting to multiple procedures that have left her now image in 2026 virtually unrecognizable from the woman who first uttered, "I am very rich, bitch." The transformation was a calculated multi-step reconstruction. NeNe underwent 2 high-profile rhinoplasties to narrow and refine her nose, a breast augmentation, liposuction, and what experts describe as a series of sophisticated fillers and Botox that have completely altered her facial geometry. By the 2020s, her jawline appeared more V-shaped. Her cheekbones were aggressively elevated, and her skin took on an almost airbrushed, doll-like sheen. This metamorphosis wasn't without its critics, but NeNe leaned into it, using her evolving look to build a high-fashion brand. At 58, her current image is a masterpiece of modern aesthetics, sleek, sharp, and hyper-glamorous. She traded the girl-next-door warmth for a razor-edged boss aesthetic that mirrors her career trajectory. Her journey is a testament to the idea that in the world of reality TV, your face is your greatest asset. And NeNe chose to invest in a version of herself that was as bold and uncompromising as her personality. Teddy Pendergrass. The transformation of Teddy Pendergrass is one of the most heartbreaking then and now stories in the history of R&B. In the 1970s, Teddy was the ultimate bear, a 6-foot-tall, muscular powerhouse of masculinity whose deep baritone voice was matched by a smoldering, rugged physicality. He was a sex symbol who commanded the stage with an intensity that left audiences breathless. But on March 18, 1982, that then image was shattered in an instant. A horrific car accident in Philadelphia left him with a severed spinal cord, paralyzing him from the chest down and confining the world's greatest soul singer to a wheelchair for the rest of his life. The now version of Teddy Pendergrass was a man who had to find strength in a body that no longer responded. Over the next 3 decades, the physical toll of quadriplegia was visible. His once broad shoulders grew frail, his powerful frame withered, and his face, while still handsome, carried a pensive, battle-worn gravity. The unrecognizable factor wasn't just the wheelchair, it was the loss of the alpha energy that had defined his youth. Yet, Teddy's most profound transformation was internal. He returned to the stage at Live Aid in 1985, a moment that remains one of the most emotional in music history, proving that his spirit hadn't moved an inch even if his legs had. By the time he passed in 2010 at age 59, Teddy had transitioned from a physical titan into a spiritual one. His journey from a god of soul to a man surviving a silent physical prison is a somber reminder that the most radical transformations are often those we never asked for, but were forced to endure with dignity. LaToya Jackson. LaToya Jackson's physical narrative is deeply intertwined with the Jackson family aesthetic, a controversial pursuit of porcelain-like perfection. In her then era, the late 1970s, LaToya was the image of natural 70s elegance, possessing warm brown skin, a soft facial structure, and the iconic Jackson smile. However, Following in the footsteps of her brother Michael, she embarked on a transformation that began in the 1980s and has continued through 2026. This evolution wasn't merely aging, it was a deliberate, surgical reconstruction of her identity. The now version of LaToya is characterized by a razor-thin, highly sculpted nose that has become her most recognizable feature. Surgeons estimate she has undergone at least 3 to 4 rhinoplasties, along with eyelid lifts and significant facial fillers that have given her a frozen, youthful sheen. Perhaps most jarring is her skin tone, which transitioned from its original rich mahogany to a significantly paler hue over the decades. Unlike her brother, who cited vitiligo, LaToya's shift has often been attributed to aggressive cosmetic lightening. At 69, her current look is a surreal, hyper-glamorous masterpiece of modern science. She has traded the natural warmth of the Gary, Indiana girl for a high-gloss, doll-like visage that matches the eccentric lifestyle of the Jackson dynasty. Her transformation is a reminder that in the upper echelons of fame, Black beauty is often redefined through a lens of extreme, almost otherworldly refinement. Richard Pryor. Richard Pryor didn't just tell jokes, he set the world on fire with a raw, kinetic physicality. In his then era, Pryor was a man of electric energy, known for his animated facial expressions, his wiry, lean build, and a voice that could mimic anything from a dog to a heartbeat. He was a symbol of unbridled, dangerous charisma. But the now that emerged in the late 1980s was a haunting departure. In 1986, Pryor was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis, MS, a brutal autoimmune disease that slowly dismantled the motor skills that were central to his craft. The transformation was heartbreakingly visible. Within a decade, the man who once prowled the stage like a panther was confined to a wheelchair, his once vibrant facial muscles becoming stiff and mask-like, a condition known as poverty of expression. By the time of his final public appearances in the early 2000s, Pryor was a ghost of himself. His frame had withered to a fraction of its former size, and his eyes, though still bright with intellect, were trapped in a body that could no longer speak or move with ease. He had lost nearly 50 pounds of muscle mass, and the king of comedy became a somber symbol of human fragility. When he passed in 2005 at age 65, his journey served as the ultimate then and now tragedy. The transformation of a man whose body was a high-speed vehicle into one that had become a silent, immobile prison. Kelly Rowland. Kelly Rowland's transformation is a masterclass in the Hollywood glow-up, a subtle, sophisticated evolution from a girl group member to a high-fashion icon. In her then era with Destiny's Child, Kelly was the girl next door, with natural features and a gorgeous dark complexion that she admits she struggled to love in a colorist industry. However, as she entered her solo career, she chose to refine her look through a mix of self-love and strategic enhancement. Kelly is one of the few celebrities to be refreshingly honest about her choices, admitting she waited 10 years before getting breast implants at age 28 to ensure she was doing it for herself. The now version of Kelly Rowland in 2026 is arguably the most polished version of any 90s star. At 45, her skin is more radiant than ever, a result of a meticulous skincare regimen and what experts suggest are light tweakments like Botox and subtle fillers to maintain her jawline's crispness. While her nose appears more refined than in the no days, she has largely avoided the over-processed look common in Hollywood. Her transformation is defined by confidence. She traded the insecurity of her youth for a sleek, athletic, and regal aesthetic that has made her a fashion industry darling. She didn't become unrecognizable by losing her identity. She became unrecognizable by fully blooming into a version of herself that is both black girl magic and high fashion royalty. Her story is the perfect conclusion to our list. a transformation that prioritizes grace over surgery and soul over status. As we look back at these 25 journeys, we are left with a haunting question. Where does the artist end and the mask begin? While some of these icons fought heroic battles against illness, others seem to have lost themselves in a desperate pursuit of an impossible perfection. Is it a triumph of modern science or a tragic loss of cultural identity? The line between self-improvement and self-destruction has never been thinner. We want to hear from you. Who do you think had the most heartbreaking transformation, and who came out stronger? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. If you want more deep dives into the hidden lives of your favorite stars, make sure to like this video and follow Black Celebrity Secrets. Until next time, keep seeking the truth.